It's the Bulls Podcast, Episode 7.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys, man. I feel so loved here. I love it, man. Thank you guys.
How did it feel to be on the court for the first time in a Bulls uniform?
It felt great. It was, a feeling that I haven't had in, almost a year. I came out here. We got a win. That was most importantly. And, like I said, it's just, so glad to come out here and put a Bulls uniform on and, come out here in front of these fans and get this rolling again. I feel great.
Welcome to the Bulls Podcast, coming to you from bullspodcast.com. This is where we'll be bringing you the latest news, reviews, rants, rumors, and opinions on the players, coaches, and front office of the Chicago Bulls. I'm your host, Marcus Couch, and joining me is my co-host, Mr. Wise Black.
Yo. What's up? What's good with all my Bull lifers out there, man? So, as we all know, man, this off season pretty much just has us all like in the desert right now. I'm just so dull and, man, I'm dried out. But I think that training camp is about, 2 weeks away? So, I'm ready, man. I'm ready to do the damn thing, man. Let's roll.
Yeah, let's get it. We got a lot in store for you this episode, including who leads this team for NBA award considerations this year. We'll go over our picks for that. Wise lays down the bet, and he'll be back in Vegas to collect. We'll be finding out a little bit more about that later on in the show. We'll be getting some listener iTunes reviews. We called for that last week, and we got a couple. We're happy to share those. Here's something interesting. What do Cavs fans think of our young Bulls? You actually might be surprised. And we've got more trades to think about with the ESPN trade machine. We got all that coming up next. And we're back, and we're going to talk about an interesting story that I read on Hoops Habit. They actually had an article about their projections on who the Bulls would be most likely to advance and receive one of the coveted NBA awards. Now, it's really early in the season, but let's talk about who would be in consideration for the various awards if the circumstances were right. And a lot of these circumstances maybe depend on injuries of other players on other teams or even somebody to step it up from our perspective. But here we go. Rookie of the Year, Wendell Carter Jr. Okay, we already know that Wendell Carter Jr. is probably not going to start, but he will at some point this year. The chances are better the earlier that we can get him to start. If we can unload Robin Lopez and put Wendell Carter Jr. right in there at the 5 spot, I think that he's got a really good shot. So, obviously, the best rookie we got, clearly Wendell Carter Jr. But as I said, if he's going to ride the bench all year, it's probably not going to happen for him. What circumstances do you think it would take for Wendell Carter Jr. to not only get the starting role, but to advance into Rookie of the Year?
My thing is, I understand that he'll be playing behind like Robin Lopez at the center position, but truth be told, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts more than 50% of the games next season. Just because, like we said, Robin Lopez may be gone, hopefully in a trade or something like that. Maybe we can get something back for him. But even if not, at least it'll free up playing time for Wendell Carter Jr. or even Felicio. We should really need to get that money off the books. Also, I think Garn Pack saw the positive effect that took place when Laurie was thrown to the Wolves and asked to start early on. And by the team not being interested in tanking again, I can see them trying to develop Wendell Carter Jr. as soon as possible, especially after seeing what he did in the Summer League. So is Rookie of the Year out of the realm for Wendell Carter Jr.? I wouldn't necessarily say so.
Yeah, me neither. I agree with you on that one. Most improved player. Now they've cite 2, which is Zach LaVine and Jabari Parker. So here's what they say. There are a few players on the Bulls roster who could qualify for the most improved on the team. Chris Dunn obviously took a huge step following an underwhelming rookie season in Minnesota. Bobby Portis turned in a pretty solid season. More on that one in a little bit, but Lauri Markkanen obviously put together a solid rookie season as well and proved that he's more than just a shooter. But as impressive as that trio was, the 2 players that we'll talk about here, Zach LaVine and Jabari Parker. LaVine obviously played just 24 games last season following an ACL injury, and Jabari Parker kind of coming off the same. While both players have proven to be respectable scorers, neither of them is known for playing defense at any kind of detectable level. So if either one of them shows noticeable improvement on the defensive area next season and ups their offensive game, they'd have to be a favorite to win the award as far as the Bulls roster is concerned. Most improved, who do you got?
Okay, so for me with this one, like you said, like earlier, yeah, Chris Dunn. We all know the improvements that he made. So I really wish I could say him, actually even over Jabari. But I'm gonna have to go with Zach LaVine. Um, many critics in the media are low on Zach LaVine, obviously for obvious reasons that we've mentioned 1,000 times on this show. His defensive numbers are among the worst in the league and all that jazz, and also the foolish ones who like to bring up his numbers from last season after he came back and only played 24 games with a 24-minute playing time restriction due to his ACL tear that he suffered while with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, I make the case for LaVine being most improved because if you look at his numbers since he entered the league, he got better every year as a scorer, putting up 10 points per game his rookie season, then 14 points per game his sophomore, to 18.9 as a junior up until that ACL tear. And coming off of that with the Bulls, a brand new team for him, he still managed to drop 16.7 points per game in only 24 minutes playing time. Like, I'm not saying that defense isn't important in any way, but as Jabari so eloquently put it, that's not what NBA players get paid for. And if Zach LaVine can be an efficient go-to scorer and have the Bulls looking respectable as a team, I don't see why he couldn't win the most improved as for this team.
Let's talk about sixth man of the year. Now, of all these things that we're talking about here, I actually think we've got the biggest and best shot at getting Bobby Portis into sixth man of the year.
Yeah.
His season didn't exactly start on the highest of notes last year. In fact, he got into the altercation with Nico, and the result was that Nico missed 23 games with a concussion and multiple facial fractures, while Portis is actually out for 8 games. It could have been the end for Portis. And in fact, I kind of thought maybe they should have got rid of Bobby when that happened, because that's kind of poison for your team. But of all things, I mean, Bobby bounced back very nicely, to say the least. He posted career highs in almost every category and extended his perimeter game to the three-point line, which he had before, but he knocked it down to about 36% of his attempts, which is not bad. We're trying to get up to 40, right? That's the goal. Now, in light of being one of the most consistent performers off the bench last season, it's no surprise that Portis would actually get the most consideration of any other player on the Bulls roster. In addition, this is very important. He's one of 3 players to post 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 1.5 3-pointers per contest on a 36-minute scale. The other 2 that are on that list, Kevin Durant and DeMarcus Cousins.
Wow.
Pretty good company.
Very good company.
Last season's winner, Lou Williams, actually put up 22.6 points and 5.3 assists per contest in 60 appearances off the bench for the Clippers. Needless to say, those are a bit beyond Portis's range in terms of eclipsing what Lou Williams did last year. But who knows what's going to happen this year? He could be the one that leads the pack. If you've seen, like I have, some of the Instagram posts and all the rest of Bobby, he looks bigger. He looks faster. The shot selection that I saw of him taking with a bunch of guys that he was playing with looked pretty good. I mean, in fact, it was pretty sneaky in the way that he put things down. So I think he's going to be, out of anybody, the best shot we've got of anybody winning an NBA award. What do you think?
For sure. No, definitely. But I want to backtrack a little bit. You said that you wanted Bobby Portis off the team instead of Nico Mirotic.
I did. Just because Nico was a starter, and it seemed like that was what we were looking for in terms of Fred's offense at the time.
True.
When Nico came back, he kind of ruined our tanking, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Where was that stuff for the rest of the games that he had played? And
exactly.
I wonder if that's why he stepped it up. And I'm ashamed that he didn't step it up prior to that. But It is what it is.
Man, what a sucker! But no, I wanted Bobby Portis just because he was younger, and I feel like he could actually do a lot of similar things to what Nikola Mirotic did, as far as like shooting. Neither one of them had great defense, you know what I'm saying, or were great rebounders either. So the only reason I liked Bobby more was for his flair and because he could shoot the long ball as well, and he was a very aggressive offensive player. But okay, let's get to the six man of the year thing now. Obviously, like this is a boring and obviously easy choice given who we have on this team. So, as we all know, as you pointed out, it's Bobby Portis. Like, while I want to say Antonio Blakeney, I think it would be disrespectful to the knockout king. Bobby Portis is actually Bobby Portis actually came out and said his goal for next season was to win this exact award we're discussing right now. So I won't rob him of that. But not only that, he actually deserves our optimism because he was the Bulls' best bench player all last season and one of the top tier bench players in the entire league, averaging 13.2 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, and shooting, as you said, close to 36% from three as a big man. And as I said, he's passionate about winning this award. So I think he'll do the most to actually obtain it.
Yeah. And it's a contract year for him. And he's gonna want to show his stuff. And we got kind of a log jam when it comes to the power forward spot. I'm sorry for Bobby, but Lowry's gonna kill him in those kinds of spots. So
he will, but I think that they're definitely going to try Jabari Parker at the 3 for a while. So I don't think that Bobby necessarily has that much to worry about. And Wendell Carter Jr. will be playing the 5 and Felicio will be sitting. So I think he'll have his shot, definitely. He's way too talented for them just to not play him.
Yeah, I hope so too. And I actually hope that we can re-sign Bobby. And I hope that he's not going to be greedy because as he looks down the bench and he sees Amir Asik at the end of the bench getting paid $11 million a year, I hope he realizes it's his doing that Asik is actually with the team and that we've got to play that out for 2 more years. And I mean, that could ruin our cap space next year. Who knows?
It could.
Defensive player of the year, they picked Chris Dunn is to be the one out of anybody on the Bulls that can win this. I kind of agree with that, but kind of not. So after being taken with the number 5 overall pick a couple years ago, Dunn did not have a season to remember during his rookie campaign. Tibbs really didn't play him, didn't really do anything with him. His averages of 3.8 points, 2.4 assists, and 2.1 rebounds per contest on shooting. It didn't really give the Bulls fans a lot to look forward to when he was included in last year's trade, but they weren't really afraid to give him the ball in key situations. He played a lot better for us. He averaged 13.4 points, 6 assists, and 4.3 rebounds in about 30 minutes a game. He led the Bulls in steals with 2 per contest, but he actually finished ahead of Jimmy Butler if he had enough games to qualify, who also averaged 2 steals a game. And Butler got an all defensive second team selection. So I think if Dunn would have actually played more games, he probably could have made that second team as well. So his chances are actually pretty slim considering the players that have emerged as the best of the best in the category. And we're talking about Kawhi Leonard and Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert in the past few seasons. But hey, he might surprise us. It seems like with all the hype of all the Bulls players, Dunn gets overlooked a lot. And I know that probably bothers him. And I know there was questions about his work ethic and all the rest of that over the summer. And he's having none of that. None. What do you think about Dunn's chance of at least getting all defensive second team or even defensive player of the year?
Actually, I heard you when you were saying earlier about, players like Kawhi Leonard and other like great defensive players, but most of those guys you mentioned are like 3s and 4s and stuff like that. I believe with the defensive teams, like first team, second team and all that, they go by positions, right? So,
yes.
Right. So if we size him up against the best point guards defensively in the NBA, you only have like Chris Paul, Patrick Beverly, I can't think of
there's not many other defensive points. Yeah,
exactly. So I actually think that Chris Dunn does have a good chance of being on a defensive team, like a defensive second team or first or something like that. Now, defensive player of the year, I'm going to go into it looking at it from the Bulls team, because obviously with Kawhi Leonard and other great defensive players in the league, hell no, he will not be winning Defensive Player of the Year. But for the sake of the Bulls team, like, this one could either be Chris Dunn or Wendell Carter Jr. But I can't remember the last time a rookie ever won the Defensive Player of the Year award in the NBA. So I'm going to go with Chris Dunn. If a rookie has won it before, someone let me know, or I'll just check Google or whatever. But Chris Dunn it is. So since the departure of David Nwaba, I think Chris Dunn is our best defender. And if anyone on the Bulls did win, I would be surprised if it wasn't Chris. The reason I say this is not only because of the 2 steals he averaged last season, which would have, like you said, put him in the top territory, like top 10 territory, had he played enough games. But he does a lot of the things on defense that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, like help defense, not allowing his men to blow by him with good on-ball defense, being a hawk in the passing lanes, and just showing pure ferociousness on that end of the floor. So we don't have many players on this team that I can say that about, so I would have to go with Chris.
Yeah, and let's not forget that Joakim Noah won the Defensive Player of the Year, so the bar is kind of low with that award, right? I mean,
don't go there. Joe was a beast. Joe was a beast. 2014, Joe, come on, man.
Yeah.
Fourth in MVP voting. That dude he was very unorthodox, but he was a monster. Like, he could hoop, especially on defense.
That's true. All right, let's talk about MVP. And I actually think that this is legitimately a good shot for us. So MVP, Lauri Markkanen. That's who they list. During his first season, Lauri, this is with Arizona, averaged 15.6 points and 7.2 boards per contest. As soon as he got to the pros, pretty much the same exact thing, 15.2 points a game and 7.5 rebounds per game. That's pretty unusual for a guy to keep that game going, especially since he kind of was a bench player for a little while and was brought into the light kind of accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
If he steps it up and the hype is not there to put LeBron in some role of, hey, you're the MVP for LA because they stunk before and now they might make the playoffs, who knows, or going with Durant or Harden or one of those guys, I legitimately think if you're talking most valuable, Lauri might actually pull something like this off if he has an incredible year. Like, if he's in the mid 20s and scoring and pulling down 10 boards a game, I think he's got a shot. What do you think?
Yeah, no, actually, I agree. I definitely agree. Lauri Markkanen definitely has the prowess, especially as a rookie, and looking at his work ethic, just everything that he's doing this summer and all that. I swear, like, if Lauri Markkanen can build on the success that he had last season as a freaking rookie, I definitely think he can make some noise in this league. Now, I'm not sure if he can like beat out players like Kevin Durant and LeBron and them. Like, it's just a little bit way too early. And I get that they those players that I just mentioned, they have a lot of talent on their teams, which Lauri maybe lacks. But I still think that they won't, like, the league just won't give it to a young player, a player that's what is Lauri, only 21 years old. As a matter of fact, they gave it to D Rose, so I can't say that either. They gave it to D Rose at just 21 years old. So, man, I could definitely see it. I can see it, but I just think that it's unlikely. Sticking to maybe for this Bulls team, if we're talking about this Bulls team, now I want to go with something a little bit controversial. As a matter of fact, controversial, definitely, because like I want to like stick within the Bulls team for a little bit and talk about my man. So I'm gonna say that I think the player who has the best chance to be the MVP on their team is Jabari Parker. Now, I know a lot of us feel like that sounds crazy and it should be a no-brainer for Lauri Markkanen, but I chose Jabari because I think he's going to have the passion and heart to pull it off before the second-year unicorn in Lauri. JP is only 23 years old. He has the talent and skill to be a number one option. And for some reason, I just feel like the hometown kid factor is going to have a positive effect on Jabari's game. Now, I don't expect anyone on this Bulls team to win MVP of the league, like I said, but I truly feel like Jabari could be the MVP of this team, obviously bearing injuries and if those knees can actually hold up for him.
I hope that happens.
There's my hot take.
I hope it happens. I'm rooting for Jabari more than anybody else on this team. I want to see him have an incredible year.
Jabari Parker can definitely hoop, man. He was the second overall pick, and I know it's not even about that, but looking at what Jabari Parker did at Duke and even his Simeon days and even him showing some flashes, I think his second year with the Milwaukee Bucks putting up about 20 points per game, I just would love to see that Jabari Parker come back. And I'm hoping that him being back home, that will like garner some sort of crazy motivation inside of him and just have him play lights out for us.
Well, that's it for our NBA award considerations for the Bulls. We'll be right back right after this. Hey, remember, everybody, we're a new show, and we do need your support in social media. We made it super easy to find us on all our social media links. You can just go to bullspodcast.com/social, and we've got everything listed there. Or if you just want to take the direct route, we made some short links for you. bullspodcast.com/Twitter, bullspodcast.com/Facebook/YouTube/Instagram. You get the point. Really easy to do. Takes just a minute. We do appreciate your support. All right, we're back. And Wise, you went to Vegas this past week, and true to your word, man, you took the Vegas odds makers to task. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, man. It was basically a no-brainer. So I was actually in Vegas for a bachelor's party. My guys and I were all clowning around Vegas, getting wasted from sunrise to sundown. I actually think I'm still feeling the effects of it. But we were actually casino hopping and doing a bunch of gambling, which I'm not great at, but I did come up on the craps table plus 50. So nice. I was happy, and I decided that with the money I won, I was going to put it down on the Bulls winning the over for the 28 game projection. So I want to get more into what we were doing. We found the MGM Grand Casino, right, where Mayweather and Pacquiao fight took place, and we were walking around like some drunk fools for a little while trying to find the sports betting area. And once we did, I stumbled over to the counter and placed my bet. I think I put down about $30, $40. Like it was just a fun bet. You know what I mean? I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money on it, but like you said, I was true to my word. So I truly think this is going to be the easiest money that I'll ever win. So I'm sitting back and just waiting until April to collect my winnings, man.
All right. Well, I'm going to go out there in a couple weeks, and I'm going to lay down 100 on the Bulls and see what happens. If we don't win, man, we're going to be depressed. So we'll find out. We'll find out exactly what happens. But hey, as podcasters, we put our money where our mouth is. We back the Bulls with our wallets,
all day.
All right. So let's get into something else, which is last week we talked about. And by the way, thanks for all the reviews for last week's show that we had with Big Dave and C-Dub. Man, that was such a fun show. I like those guys so much. I listened to it. I couldn't stop laughing. Even though I was there live, I still couldn't stop laughing.
Me too. I was listening to it and just cracking up, man. Hey, those dudes were a ton of fun. I can't wait till we go on their show.
Absolutely. So it's been a couple weeks. We've been on iTunes and we've been asking for reviews. Now we're not looking for reviews to stroke our ego or anything like that. We're a brand new show, and you may not know that the amount of reviews on iTunes and the review score is one of the main ways in which iTunes ranks a podcast in their directory. Right now, we still rank pretty low. We're not at the bottom, but we're down there. And with your help and a bunch more reviews every week, we can certainly make a good run for being one of the top Bulls podcasts out there. Here's a couple of them. Really nice. Let's Go. I think that's a reference to you. By T Contact. And he said, glad y'all got into Apple Pod. Love the content and always looking for more Bulls info. Cool.
Yes, sir.
Totally appreciate that. Our Ball 88 says, love it. 5 stars, hands down the best Bulls podcast. Don't know about best. That's calling it out there, but
that's some praise right there.
I
Thank you.
appreciate that. I
Thank you
appreciate that a
very much.
lot. That's great.
But we are very humble. So thank you for
Yeah.
saying it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm the best. We're in there, yeah, but that's it. So thanks to everybody so far that's left iTunes reviews. If you got just a second, and if you got iTunes and Apple Podcasts and all that, and if you could just lay us down a quick review, tell us how you like the show. Hit pause real quick. Do what you got to do. We'll be also selecting some YouTube comments from our YouTube channel, people that are leaving us reviews. Wise and I have always said we wanted to make a fan podcast by fans for fans. And that's exactly what this is. And we're going to start acknowledging you. And I think, Wise, and this is the first I brought this up to you, but I think in a couple weeks, let's do a fan show where a couple fans can just join us on the hangout here and talk Bulls. I think that's probably a good idea that we can, just sit and rap about the Bulls and get in with some fans. So make sure you do that.
That's an amazing idea. I would love that.
Yeah, so let's get that going. All right, we got more coming up in the podcast, and we'll get to that right after this. All right, we're back, and I got an interesting story, Wise, that I don't typically read other teams' feeds or blogs, but this one just happened to be popping up on my alerts. It's an interesting story from CavsNation.com. It's where Cleveland Cavaliers fans hang out to probably cry in their beer since LeBron left. But I was a bit shocked to read what Cavs Nation actually said about the Bulls. Unbelievably, they actually have the feeling that they're still a playoff-bound team with Kevin Love. And even without LeBron, I think they think they're going to be great. So here's what I found was pretty hilarious. Here's how they summarized it. The Bulls' starting lineup is respectable, but Chicago's lack of depth is what's going to hurt them. Aside from Cristiano Felicio, Denzel Valentine, Justin Holiday, and Bobby Portis, the Bulls don't really have any legitimate NBA-level role players. And that's going to be crucial when playing the Cavaliers. Okay, great. But you left out Wendell Carter Jr. and a bunch of other guys there that are going to give you fits. I'll put Wendell Carter Jr. up against Kevin Love any day. Sorry, but Kevin Love will not be getting shots off because we all know what happened when Kevin Love played without LeBron over in Minnesota. He was okay, but he wasn't all that.
He was 20-10. He was nice in Minnesota. He ain't all that in Cleveland.
How far did he take him in the playoffs?
Okay, no, you're definitely right. They never made the playoffs, actually. But he was the only one over there. So I ain't knocking him in. I liked Husky.
Rubio. They had a couple guys.
Rubio wasn't. He was whack in Minnesota.
Yeah, okay. So here's how the article continues. The Cavs this is our secret plan here. The secret plan. We've got their playbook. Here it is. The Cavs' best game plan against Chicago is to exploit their severe lack of solid guards. Where the Bulls lack, the Cavaliers have in surplus. It's easy to guess how things will go when Antonius Cleveland is matched up against Rodney Hood or Cedi Osman. Antonius Cleveland? You think we're playing him? Come on.
Who wrote this, man?
I don't know. George Hill and former Bull David Nwaba should be able to slow Levine enough to the point where Lauri Markkanen is the biggest threat. Okay. All right. Even though Love is a stretch 4, he's not a good defender, meaning Markkanen should be able to score somewhat easily, even against Nance, Cleveland's biggest defensive big. Zizic isn't known for his defense, but may have to defend Markkanen just because he's similar in size. Of course, Markkanen could be countered with a simple double team, which isn't a bad idea because Chicago doesn't have a plethora of sharpshooters who will make you regret leaving them open. Are you guys looking at our roster this year?
Justin Holiday, Denzel Valentine, Zach LaVine can shoot it.
Yeah.
A
simple double team. Yeah. Have you seen the size of Lauri Markkanen? He is going to blow right through that. Let me finish this up. It would be great if the Cavs could sweep the 4-game season series, but we have no idea what to expect from this team right now. Going 3-1 should be the goal, as Chicago is likely headed for another bottom 10 finish. The first 2 games against the Bulls should be a good litmus test for the rest of the season. If Cleveland struggles, maybe the playoffs aren't as close as we initially thought. Yeah, I'd go with that last sentence, Cavs Nation.
Oh, man. Okay, so There's a lot to unpack here. Okay, so while reading this, the first mistake about this article that stood out to me was his lack of fact checking before writing this piece. I say this because he said the Bulls guaranteed Jabari Parker $40 million for the 2-year contract he received, when everyone knows it's a 2-year team option deal with one guaranteed year. But cool, whatever. We all mess up sometimes, so I'm not even gonna harp on that one too much. But what got me was him saying that the Cavs have a surplus of guards, which the Bulls lack, in his words, basically saying that Rodney Hood, who was a shell of himself last year in comparison to his Utah days. Yes, LeBron was on the team and all that, but so was Zach LaVine coming off injury and minutes restricted. But let me continue. Cedi Osman, who averaged 3 points per game last season. George Hill, who is a solid player, but not a killer. And our man, David Nwaba, who we all know is a great defender, but come on, we all know he needs help. He needs a little bit of work on the offensive end. Now, it sounds to me like he's saying that their guard squad is better than the Bulls guards and Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, Denzel Valentine, who have some spark in them, Antonio Blakeney, and even the vet Justin Holiday. Now, if you ask me, which squad I'm taking if I'm playing ball, it's the Bulls guards all day. No bias at all. I just think that our players are more talented than the Cedi Osman and a washed-up George Hill. And he even went into a few topics I don't even remember. I know you was just reading them off, but I don't even remember everything. But that 3-1 against us, which I believe he said, right? He said they should go 3-1 against us, right?
Yeah.
Like, man, that's straight up disrespect and pure hope and bias coming from their team writer or whoever this is. This will also be Ty Lue's first real go at coaching as well without LeBron on that team. So they have that mystery going against them as well. This dude needs to stop smoking whatever he's smoking, man. I actually could see the Bulls being better than Cleveland because of the collective talent we have.
I hear you. And I'm going to send this to these guys, and you guys need to re-examine your team, because we're in a rebuild, and that's what you're going to be doing in the next 4 years, which is blowing up your team. Kevin Love is going to be gone in 2 years.
Like, man, being realistic, I'm not even mad at him saying that Kevin Love is the best player on the floor. Like, okay, I'll give them that one because we have a whole lot of young players and all that. But our collective talent is way better than Cleveland's, if you ask me. Like, who do they really have? They mentioned Rodney Hood, but like, if you ask me, he's Zach LaVine. Yeah. What did he do last season? You know what I'm saying? Like, Zach LaVine, when he was in Minnesota, he put up 19 points per game. So you can't even go back to his Utah days. It's what have you done for me lately? So I don't know what they're getting at.
I don't either, but I can't wait till the first Bulls Cleveland game, because I'm gonna at this writer and say, hey man, remember this link to this article? Yeah, you need to rethink that a little bit. Anyway, I thought it would be fun to kind of share the enemy playbook a little bit and see what it is that they thought of our Bulls team. And it's no wonder that Vegas thinks that we're only going to win 28 games, because they're sleeping on our guys. And I hope that our guys are reading this stuff and laughing as much as we are.
Yeah.
So that's the Cleveland reaction. I think I'm going to start doing this for other teams that are sizing up their competition for the schedule, and we'll make that a regular feature here on the show. I think it's kind of fun. All right, we'll be back with our potential Chicago Bulls trades for the season right after this. All right, we're back. We've got potential Chicago Bulls trades. Everybody loves this feature, and I've been having a lot of fun sharing this actually to a bunch of Facebook groups and all that as far as the clip of this show. And actually I've gotten some pretty favorable reactions in terms of the trades that we've been thinking. So I'll kick this one off. This is a kind of a strange trade, but it might work. It might not. But I have the Bulls trading Cameron Payne to Minnesota for Jeff Teague. Now you're probably thinking, why would they ever want Cameron Payne in place of Jeff Teague? 2 words: salary cap. If Jimmy Butler's going to blow that team up like I suspect that he's going to, and if they waste their money on Luol Deng and Joakim Noah, I think they're going to need some cash. This actually would free them up of $19 million a year. So he's on a 2-year deal, for 19 mil. The second year, I think, is a team option, not a player option on that contract. So in essence, we're getting him for 1 year for $19 million as a point guard. He's a great point guard. He was everywhere that he played. Remember when we had Marcus Teague, his brother? Disaster. Well, Jeff's the real deal. He's not some copycat. And it does sound crazy, but this solves a lot of issues for both teams. First, Chicago has a point guard problem. Minnesota has that cap problem. They're way into luxury tax, and they're going to need some serious cash if they're going to resign Karl Anthony Towns next year. He's on the last year of his deal.
Yeah.
I predict Jimmy's going to just blow the place up completely, and it doesn't look too good in Minnesota. I'm guessing, I'm serious about this. I bet they don't even make the playoffs this year.
Oh, wait.
And when that happens, I think Tibbs is going to be gone, and I think the rest of them are going to be gone because it's just not going to happen. What the Bulls get is Jeff Teague, a solid point guard that can be around for a few years as we rebuild. When you think of the team, what is it that we're missing? Solid point guards, right?
No, for sure. For sure. We're definitely missing solid point guards. Okay, and I'm glad you also said the thing about the salary cap thing, because that would obviously free up some salary cap for them to sign someone else. So that's what made sense to me, because before I was like, why the heck would they take Campaign? But all right, that cleared that up for me. But no, we definitely would need some solid guards. But the only thing that I would say is, yes, Jeff Teague is a very nice point guard, but he isn't the same as he was with the Hawks. You know what I'm saying? With the Hawks, he actually went to an all-star team, I believe he did once.
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, he is definitely a proven veteran point guard, but I wouldn't want him to get in the way of Chris Dunn. I think that Chris Dunn can actually be better than him in the long run. And I don't know. Well, I do. I'm pretty sure Chris Dunn, he wouldn't take it very well if they brought over Jeff Teague, because I'm pretty sure he would take that starting role. You know what I'm saying? So I actually like the trade if Jeff Teague can't get in where he fits in and come off the bench behind Chris Dunn. But I don't think he'd be willing to do that.
Well, my pick for this was that Dunn would actually lead the second unit. All egos aside, I'm sorry, Chris Dunn's not an all-star yet.
Yeah.
He's not even close. So my guess is that he would lead the second unit with Jabari Parker filling in the gaps. So Jabari, I figure, will be the first one to the bench and the first one back off the bench and until the starters check back in.
Right.
That would leave Dunn and Parker to kind of ride along with the second unit and get it done in that direction. I like that look. I really do. I don't know of any other second unit in the league that can really do something like that.
Yeah.
So I like the trade. Minnesota gets money in the bank. And if Jabari wouldn't work out, then we don't have to pay him the second year. We got a lot more cap space to sign somebody else.
No, you know what though? That's actually a good point, Chris Dunn. Like putting the egos aside, then yes, I can definitely see that working out. But that's definitely what Chris Dunn would have to do. And you painted a really good visual, like Chris Dunn and Jabari Parker, and even left out Wendell Carter Jr. or Robin Lopez coming off of the bench. So I think that would definitely give us a beautiful bench squad. So yeah, if that could happen, then hell of a trade.
That would be good. And we get rid of Cameron Payne finally, which is what I've been looking for a year. Anyway, so what do you got for a trade?
All right. So with this one, I kind of just put something together with this one. I'm not going to lie. But I have the Bulls sending Denzel Valentine and Antonius Cleveland to the Miami Heat for Justice Winslow. Now, my quick thoughts behind this is the Bulls get a better athlete in Justice Winslow, who is an actual small forward that can also shoot the three ball. Last season with the Heat, he shot 38% from three, the same percentage as Denzel shot last season. Also, Justice is an above the rim player who plays respectable defense as well. So I could see the Bulls using him to guard opposing teams' best players on some nights, and even to switch on to some bigs with his 6'7" standing height compared to Denzel's Valentine real height of 6'4". I'm going to continue to say that Denzel is not 6'6". But anyway, I could see the Miami Heat pulling the trigger on this because they already have rim rough riders on defense, so they wouldn't necessarily miss Justice there. And Denzel gives them a second ball handler with a nice shooting stroke. What do you think?
I like it. And Denzel Valentine gets to be with his mentor, Dwayne Wade.
There you go. There you go.
Right out the last year of D Wade's career. So I think Denzel would actually like that deal.
Although we wouldn't care what he likes because he'd just be getting traded regardless. But yeah.
That's right. Then we're going to sign Frank Nitti. Boy, that would piss Denzel off. All right, let's close this out. Hey, remember, subscribe to our show. Go to bullspodcast.com/subscribe to get all the links to where we are. We are on iTunes and Apple Podcasts, so just go to bullspodcast.com/iTunes and you'll be taken right to that link. Make sure you give us a 5-star review and your feedback on the show. And when you do, just like today's show, we'll read them out as we get them. So yours will be on the next show. We do have a surprise coming to you soon for our intro. And you all are going to freak out when you hear who we got to do the intro for us. You're going to have to keep listening to find out who that is. Next week, we're going to have another guest show. I'm going to save who it is, but it's going to be a great episode next week as well. Wise, closing thoughts.
Great show, especially for me coming back from Vegas, from my long trip from Vegas. I'm definitely feeling the effects of all of the fun festivities that took place there with my guys. So I'm really proud of myself for actually coming back today and being somewhat adequate.
All right. Hey, remember, leave us comments, leave us your love and your feedback anywhere that you see us, in Facebook, on YouTube, and iTunes, anything like that. We do appreciate all your support and your comments, and we're trying to be responsive to you as well. So even when Wise posts up the show on his channel, I try and be responsive to everybody and everybody's reactions on there as well, and vice versa. So we do appreciate that. Until then, thanks for listening, everybody. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.